So this is why you should always be extra careful in public stalls you haven't been to. This Reddit user actually caught someone trying to film him over the stall wall next to him. He wasn't sure how to react, so he just started recording. But I'm curious, what would you do in this situation?
They buried her in 3 coffins, bound in chains, but the knocking never stopped. In 1791, Sister Adelinde of Marseille began waking up with dirt under her fingernails. At first, the other nuns thought she was sleepwalking, but when they followed her one night, they found her standing in the cemetery, digging, with her bare hands. When asked why, she said, "They're calling me from below. I must answer." Her behavior grew stranger. She stopped eating, spoke to shadows, and during prayer she whispered names that hadn't been spoken in centuries. One night she collapsed mid-hymn. Her mouth opened, but it wasn't her voice that came out. It was dozens, crying, begging, screaming. The abbess ordered an exorcism, but every priest who entered her chamber came out, changed. One gouged out his own eyes. Another refused to speak ever again. They said something was inside her, not a demon, but a congregation. When Sister Adeline died, the church refused to bury her in hallowed ground. Instead, they placed her body in 3 nested coffins, bound in iron chains, and buried her beneath the abbey's stone floor. But the knocking started 2 days later, rhythmic, like nails on wood. It never stopped. Eventually, they sealed the room entirely, but the nuns still hear it. You can hear a voice beneath the floorboards whispering, "Let me out. They're still waiting."
Oh mein Gott. Das ist verrückt. Das ist verrückt. Krank. Ich weiß gar nicht, wie ich anfangen soll. Schaut mal meine Haare, die stehen, jetzt sogar die haben Gänsehaut. Ey, yo, haltet euch bitte fest. Ich sag jetzt mit Absicht das Land nicht, aber ihr wisst, welches Land ich meine. Die laden Mädels ein, die Only for You machen, ne? Oder sich als Model betiteln oder was weiß ich. Fliegen, gehen rüber in das Land, ne? Gehen dann in solche Räume, ja? Wo dann mehrere Männer sind. Nicht nur Männer, anscheinend sogar Kamele oder andere Tiere. Und lassen sich ankacken. Von jedem. Und noch ganz andere schlimme Sachen. Das dann halt für 30.000 bis 60.000. Dieses Mädel war anscheinend einer dieser Opfer. Sie wurde vermisst gemeldet für ein paar Tage. Sie wurde dann nach 7, 8 Tagen aufgefunden, irgendwo an einem Strand. Mit Knochenbrüchen sein Vater. Arm gebrochen, Bein gebrochen, Wirbelsäule gebrochen und was weiß ich, Innereien. Ich habe mich die ganze Zeit gefragt, warum gehen diese ganzen Mädels nach in diesem Land? Und es gab sogar Aufnahmen, so wo ein Kind im Hintergrund geschrien hat. Das waren so Minderjährige auf jeden Fall. Und bevor jetzt alle schreibt, ja, Islam, nein. Diese Menschen haben lange nichts mehr mit dem Islam zu tun, vor allem dieses Land. Aber was denkt ihr darüber? Folgt mir für mehr Videos.
I take a shower with my 14-year-old son, and I didn't expect him to do this to me. I'm a 37-year-old woman, and I know what you're thinking when you hear that. My 14-year-old son takes a shower with me, right? Well, I have a good reason for that. We share the same bathroom and bedroom. At first, I hesitated to admit this online because of the judge's looks and comments that I would receive from strangers. But here it goes. It all started 3 years ago when my husband suddenly left us without any explanation. It was a total shock. We had been married for more than 15 years, and he seemed happy until one day he packed his bags and disappeared. All he said to us was, "I'm going to buy milk at the gas station. I'll be right back." He never came back. The kids were devastated, especially my youngest son, Max. He clung to me more than ever, looking for comfort wherever he could find it. At night, Max would come into my room trembling with cold, asking for a warm blanket. As much as I wanted to send him back to his own room, I couldn't stand seeing him so vulnerable. So, gradually, Max got closer to my side and finally ended up sleeping next to me, sometimes even snuggling up to me. Over time, I began to notice that Max did not move away from my side during the day either. Whether it was showering or brushing his teeth, Max was always there, watching closely. I tried to ignore him, hoping he would get over that phase, like most teenage behaviors. However, as the days became weeks and then months, I realized that this was not going to disappear soon. One night, while I was showering, Max asked if he could join me. I asked him why, and he said that all the boys at school say that I have a level 9 gas. I don't know what that means, but at first I was surprised. I doubted, without being sure if it was appropriate or healthy. But seeing him so small and fragile, I knew deep down that I couldn't say no. And so our new ritual began. Everything was going well. Normal showers between mother and son, until I dropped the soap, and now you can check if there's a second part by pressing share and more.
This was the most dangerous man to ever walk the earth, and somehow he was charming. In the 1930s, a man known only as Humongous was arrested for taking the lives of over 200 people using nothing but his thumb. Witnesses said he could crush skulls like glass, but what made him terrifying wasn't his strength, it was his mind. In 1934, he was captured and sent to prison. 2 days later, he escaped by flushing himself down the toilet. He crawled through the sewage system for miles, surviving on rats and rainwater. 67 days later, he was caught again, after applying for a job at the very same prison he'd escaped from. Officials transferred him to Philadelphia's Island Penitentiary, a fortress hundreds of miles from civilization. He was locked in the lowest cell, sealed away from every other inmate. Guards said they could hear tapping from inside his walls at night, rhythmic, patient, deliberate. Then in 1949, a tsunami struck, burying the prison beneath the sea. 5 years later, when the waters receded, investigators entered what was left. They found the remains of every prisoner and guard, except one. In the flooded basement, carved into the concrete, they found fresh thumbprints, still wet.
This woman decided to visit an unknown tribe with her friend, but what they experienced was so terrifying that it made the front page of all the local newspapers. Camilla, a young woman fascinated by exotic cultures, traveled with a friend to explore an isolated village, a place that doesn't appear on any map and that the locals avoid at all costs. What seemed like a simple adventure quickly turned into a silent nightmare. As soon as they arrived, they were surrounded by men of the tribe. All of them wore a strange smile, gently caressing Camilla's face, as if they were hypnotized by her presence. She tried to smile back, but something was wrong. Their gaze was intense, almost inhuman, and most disturbing of all, not a single woman was visible in the tribe. When they tried to leave, they realized she was no longer alone, and no longer free. What happened to Camilla and her friend that night was so disturbing that the images sparked a wave of panic on social media, forcing the police to intervene. Do you want to know what they discovered? Which tribe? To see part 2.
Hello? What the actual fuck?
She came home after work and saw a package lying in the middle of her living room floor. Nothing unusual, until she realized the door was still locked. She lives alone, only she has the key. And the space under the door? Way too small for a box like that to fit. That's when the panic hit. Someone had been inside her apartment. She checked every corner, bedroom, kitchen, even the shower, trying not to freak out. Nobody. But that heavy feeling wouldn't go away. The feeling that someone had been standing right where she was standing now. For days, she'd noticed a figure outside her building. Same shape, same height, always watching from a distance. She went to the police, but they shrugged it off. Stress, overthinking. Her friends said the same. But now, seeing this package inside her locked home, she understood something terrifying. If anything ever happened to her, nobody would even look for the person responsible. For the next few days, she barely slept. She double-checked every door and window, whispered quiet goodbyes to her family just in case. Because deep down, she felt one thing. Whoever left that package might come back.
This little girl went missing, and 20 years later, the police make a horrifying discovery. In 1995, 6-year-old Sophie went to school like normal, but that day she just never came home. Years went by, and nobody knew what happened to the little girl. So her friends and family finally came to the realization that she was gone. Well, 20 years later, an anonymous letter was given to the police saying that the missing girl's family had a secret. Intrigued by the letter, the police rushed to the family's house. They showed them the letter and then asked to search their property. The family agreed, so they searched the house, but they just couldn't find anything. But on the way out, they saw something very peculiar. At the end of some stairs was a door that was padlocked shut, and when the family refused to open it, they broke it down and made a horrifying discovery. Part 2's on a new video sharing app called Clash. Press the link in my bio if you want to see what they found.
So check this crazy ass loophole I just went through. I nutted in the condom. Put water in the condom. Okay? Then, you want to take it a step further, put the condom over a light. At that point, you're going to see a homemade lava lamp. Not capping though.
This is the terrifying truth behind the Teletubbies. The real story of the Teletubbies comes from an old mental hospital in Sofia, Bulgaria, in the year 1960. In this hospital, there was a group of 4 children with quite strange conditions. Lala had a disorder that made her smile all the time. She always stayed alone in her room in the hospital, so her skin turned yellow because she was not exposed to the sun. Tinky Winky was 7 years old. He suffered from depression and did not eat his food. And for a strange reason, he hit his head against the wall until he broke it. So they tied him with ropes by his limbs so he would not hurt himself. This caused his limbs to turn a blue color. In the hospital, there was a fire. Everyone evacuated, but they forgot to get Boo out of there. I imagine you understand why she is red. And Nipsey represented another deaf member of the hospital who was tied to a fence outside the hospital and suffered frostbite. All the Teletubbies characters are based on children who had terrible experiences in this mental hospital.
Hi, new friend.
Hi.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? It's impossible to do nothing, silly.
Oh, I guess I'm sitting on my bed. I was eating dinner with my dad, but he was being so annoying.
Oh, that sucks. My dad is literally the most annoying person in the world.
No, mine is.
They're like first and second place most annoying dads.
Like they go to competitions probably. Like they study each other's moves on video in slow motion, analyzing how to be the most annoying.
You're really funny.
Oh my god. No, so random. I like your screen name, BFF Forever.
Oh.
What's your real name?
Real names suck. Hey, I have an idea. You want to give each other nicknames?
Like what?
Like, I'll call you Shelly Belly. And you can just call me Bestie. It'll be like a secret just between us.
Okay. Bestie?
Shelly Belly. Who's that little guy?
Oh, nothing. Just this dumb thing from when I was a kid. I don't even know why it's here.
Well, he's so cute. What's his name?
Pink Bear. He used to be pink. Now he's more like a gray. I think he might be a mouse, actually.
Well, I love him. Whatever he is. Cool poster. I love Pippin.
Wait, you know Pippin?
Of course.
Oh my god, I'm literally obsessed with that soundtrack.
No, Amy too.
Like we did it last summer at camp.
Stop, I'm literally dying right now.
And I played Catherine. But I can actually sing when you play it better.
These were the real-life Powerpuff Girls, and their story is truly terrifying. In 1954, deep in the Nevada desert, the U.S. government launched a secret project called Operation Blossom. It was led by a strange scientist named Dr. Mo Lester. The goal, to create living weapons by rewriting human DNA. After years of failed trials, Dr. Mo succeeded, creating 3 genetically modified girls: Emily, who had super strength; Rose, who could control machines with her mind; and June, whose mind control was so powerful that even the other scientists were afraid of her. Keep the girls from using their powers, they were fitted with metal collars that could shut their abilities down instantly. But things soon got darker. They were tested endlessly, kept in isolation, and treated like weapons, not children. One night during an experiment, June secretly used her mind control on Dr. Mo. Without him realizing it, he placed the remote for the collars under the table and walked away. That night, the girls found it. They freed themselves. Then all hell broke loose. Emily shattered the walls, Rose shut down the alarms and sealed the exits, and June froze every guard in her path. Without saying a word, they escaped into the desert, leaving the lab in ruins. The government searched for years, but they were never found. Later in declassified reports, officials mentioned sightings of 3 pregnant women near abandoned military bases. Their story was erased from history, but one question remains: where are they now?
Oh yeah, one more thing. If y'all see me on Love Island, mind your fucking business, bitch. I'm trying to find love, bitch. Y'all had y'all motherfucking chance.
انت بشر ولا جن؟ انت ايش؟ ايش؟
This story takes us to Saudi Arabia many years ago, where one of the greatest scholars Sheikh Ibn Baz would teach students the religion of Islam. Every day students would gather to learn from him. Among them were two close friends, Khalid and Omar. They studied together, ate together, and shared the same dorm room. One night, after a long day of lessons, the two were getting ready to sleep. The door to their room was still open. Omar looked over and asked, Khalid, can you please close the door? You're closer to it. Khalid, half asleep, refused, saying he was too tired to move. After some back and forth, Omar sighed, got up, and walked to the door. But what happened next would terrify Khalid to his core. Omar didn't touch the door. He just raised his hand toward it, and it shut itself. He turned around and calmly said, You made me close it in the end. Don't forget that. Khalid didn't sleep that night. He couldn't. The next morning, he went straight to Sheikh Ibn Baz and told him everything. The Sheikh listened carefully, then said, Bring Omar to me. I want to speak with him, alone. Later that day, Omar stood before the Sheikh. The Sheikh looked him in the eyes and said, I'll ask you a question, and you must promise me not to lie. Omar nodded. I promise. The Sheikh asked, Are you a human or a jinn? Omar paused, then quietly said, I'm a jinn, but I came here with good intentions. I want to learn Islam so I can take your teachings back to my people. The Sheikh stayed silent for a moment, then replied, You can stay, but only on one condition. You remain in this human form. You never reveal your true self. Omar agreed, and from that day on, he continued studying under the scholar, learning, teaching, and living among men, while never truly being one of them. My name is Omar Fag, and I'll see you in the next Horror Nights episode.
This guy claims he can travel through time, and in his videos he often becomes a participant in different historical events, and even meets famous people from past eras. For example, in this one, he says he's showing the real Noah's Ark. You can see a giant wooden ship being built, and wild animals walking up the ramp to get on board. In one of the shots, he even points out Noah himself. In another video, this guy ends up right in the middle of the Titanic disaster. We can see the real interior of the ship filling up with water, and crowds of people running around the decks in a panic. Then, there's a video where he somehow appears in San Francisco in the 1950s, and from the cars driving by and the people walking around, it really looks like he's actually gone back in time. While he's there, he even decides to stop by McDonald's for a quick bite, and, of course, films the whole thing. But the most interesting thing happens when his followers ask him to show them the country of Terenza, that same non-existent nation that doesn't appear on any map, supposedly hidden behind the ice wall of Antarctica. The place this woman came from, the one the entire internet was talking about not so long ago. And you know what? He does it. On his channel, you can find several videos from Terenza where he walks around the city and shows the surrounding area.
A guy that went into a furniture store and he asked to buy three bed bunk beds, right? And check this out. The owners of the furniture store got so creeped out about this guy ordering these beds.
Just a bunk bed?
He was being very, very, very suspicious about it.
Yeah?
They looked at his information and then they went to Google Maps and looked at his house. And his house is boarded up with bars. So the front door has full bars, like a jail. Full bars from the very top to the very bottom.
Yeah.
All the windows are blacked out, boarded up, and the backyard, look at that.
Oh my god.
It's like gated up, and then look at the windows, barred up.
Yeah.
They put his name into the registry.
Okay.
And they found he's actually a PDF.
Oh,
yeah, he's
course.
an EDP, fam.
Of course, fam.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy, bro. Like,
oh my gosh.
And what's he asking for?
Bunk beds.
Bunk beds with many beds. As if he's like holding multiple children.
A girl was sitting on a subway late at night when she noticed the woman sitting across from her was staring at her intently. The woman was sitting between two men. The girl kept looking away, but the woman wouldn't break eye contact with her. The stare was beginning to freak the girl out. At the next stop, a new passenger got on, and it was a tall man wearing a black coat. He then sat down next to the girl, and the woman paid no attention to the man in the trench coat, and she just kept looking at the girl, who was getting more and more creeped out as time went on. The two men were frequently looking looking at the girl. She pretended not to notice, but every time she glanced at the strange woman, the stare continued. When the train was pulling into the next stop, the man in a black coat got up to leave, but suddenly he grabbed the girl's arm tightly, and as the doors opened, he dragged her off the train. The door shut, and the subway pulled off, leaving the girl alone with the man in the black coat. She started screaming out loud, begging for help, but the man in the trench coat then said, "Calm down. I just saved your life. I didn't mean to scare you, but I had to get you off that train. The woman sitting opposite of you wasn't alive, and the two men beside her were holding up her body."
What happened in Chicago in 1983 is still one of the strangest cases the city ever covered up. In the summer of 1983, residents of a small apartment building in Chicago began reporting the same thing. At night, they heard a woman crying beneath the floor, not in the hallway, not from a neighbor, from inside the pipes. At first, maintenance brushed it off as old plumbing. Old pipes make noise, everyone knows that. But tenants insisted the cries sounded human, pleading, sobbing, whispering things like, "Help me," in a voice that echoed through the metal. After 2 weeks of non-stop complaints, the landlord finally called a city inspector, a guy named Daniel Ruiz. Daniel opened the main drainage hatch in the basement and immediately froze. The smell was wrong, not sewage, but something metallic and warm. When he shined his flashlight down the pipe, he swore he saw fingers, pale fingers, slide back into the darkness. He slammed the hatch shut and called police. Chicago PD assumed it was a prank, but for protocol, they cut open a section of the main line. Inside, there was no woman, no body, no clothing, but the inner walls were covered in deep, fresh scratches, as if someone had clawed their way through the metal with their bare hands. The police quietly sealed the basement. No report, no statement. Residents were told the plumbing was under renovation, but to this day, people who lived there swear one thing: the crying didn't stop. It just moved deeper into the building.
Do you guys want to see a video from the dark web? This is technically the first ever video from the dark web. This video is called Blank Room Soup. I'm gonna play it and we're gonna talk about it after it's finished. Some of you may be confused on why he's crying while he's eating the soup. According to many theories surrounding this video, he's actually eating the remains of his wife and daughter. And these people that dressed up as this thing right here, put them in that soup. There's a second person dressed in that costume that appears later in the video, and as he's crying, they're both patting him and comforting him. However, none of this is actually proved to be real or fake, so I'm gonna err on the side of skepticism and say it's not real. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below, and comment for what you want to see next. Also, there's apparently a part 2 of this video. Let me know if you guys want me to post that.
This man appeared out of nowhere, not knowing his name or where he was, but when they discovered what he really was, they were so terrified that they called the police immediately. It all started on a quiet morning in a small countryside town. A man, with skin so dark it looked like it was made of coal, was walking barefoot down the road. His clothes were torn, and he didn't say a single word. He just stared, with a blank, piercing gaze. When people tried to help him, they noticed something even stranger. He didn't seem to understand any language, and didn't react to human touch. No documents, no ID, no past. It was as if he had just appeared out of nowhere. The police took the man to the hospital, and that's when everything got worse. Doctors tried to run some tests, but something was wrong. His body didn't react like a normal human's, and when they saw the internal scans, they froze. What they found was so disturbing. The entire medical team panicked and immediately called the police. Want to know what they discovered? Follow me and comment stranger for part 2.
Part 2, available with the community profile membership. Part 2, available with the community profile membership.
These are scary games to play in real life, part 2. This game is called Concentrate, and it's an extremely disturbing game that tells the players how they're going to die. To start the game, the person playing sits down on the ground with their eyes closed, and someone then sits behind them. Then the person behind will start lightly tapping on the player's back while saying, "Concentrate, concentrate, people are dying, children are crying, concentrate, concentrate." Now tap on their head and say, "You just got hit with a hammer." Then poke both sides of their body and say, "You just got stabbed." Now grab their neck and swing them back and forth and say, "You just got hung." Finally, whisper in their ear saying, "You're standing on the edge of a building. You're feeling dizzy and suddenly somebody pushes you." Now tell the person to open their eyes and ask them what color did they see when their eyes were closed. And whatever color they saw will reveal how they will die. Red means you're going to get stabbed, blue means you are going to drown, yellow means you would die by poison, orange means you would die by fire, green means you would die from a great height, purple is suffocation, brown is buried alive, gray is dying from a disease in the hospital, white means you would die from old age and go to heaven, and black means you would die of old age and go to hell.
This is the terrifying truth behind the Teletubbies. The real story of the Teletubbies comes from an old mental hospital in Sofia, Bulgaria, in the year 1960. In this hospital, there was a group of 4 children with quite strange conditions. Lala had a disorder that made her smile all the time. She always stayed alone in her room in the hospital, so her skin turned yellow because she was not exposed to the sun. Tinky Winky was 7 years old. He suffered from depression and did not eat his food. And for a strange reason, he hit his head against the wall until he broke it. So they tied him with ropes by his limbs so he would not hurt himself. This caused his limbs to turn a blue color. In the hospital, there was a fire. Everyone evacuated, but they forgot to get Boo out of there. I imagine you understand why she is red. And Nipsey represented another deaf member of the hospital who was tied to a fence outside the hospital and suffered frostbite. All the Teletubbies characters are based on children who had terrible experiences in this mental hospital.
This man right here literally met a jinn and even talked with him. The man you're looking at right now was a famous scholar from Saudi Arabia called Ibn Baz, and he basically used to teach people the religion of Islam. Hundreds of students will gather around him every day in the school where he used to teach to basically learn stuff about religion. And this school basically functions like a college, okay? Students will learn during the day, and when it's late, they go to their dorms to basically sleep, you know, normally. But everything changes one day. One of the many students that this scholar had was basically a duo, so 2 friends who always were together. One of them was Khaled, like the DJ, and the other one was Omar. So, like I told you, these 2 were always together, okay? They even slept in the same dorm. They were basically twins. The only difference is Khaled is from this area, okay? But Omar is a foreign. He actually comes from Africa. And I didn't say this for nothing, okay? I need you to remember this detail because it's gonna become really important when the story becomes scary. You see, one day Omar and Khaled woke up, they had their breakfast, and then they immediately went to the scholar. And when they made it there, the scholar started teaching, Omar and Khaled were taking notes, basically studying, and then when he finished, they both decided to go back to the dorm so they can get some rest. They finally made it back to the dorm, and each one of them is ready to sleep, but here something happened that will change literally everything. See, meanwhile they were both laying in their bed ready to sleep, they both noticed something. The room's door is not closed, and it needs to be. So Omar, who was here, decided to ask Khaled. He was like, Khaled, hey yo bro, can you please close the door? So Khaled's response was, nah bro, I'm sorry to tell you this, but there is no way. Bro, are we serious? You're closer to the door than I am. The door is literally 2 steps far from you. Yeah, but you see, the point is, I'm so tired, okay? It doesn't matter, 1 step, 100. I'm so tired, there's no way I'm getting up. Can you do it, please? Alright, man. You know what, I guess. Thank you, bro. I'm really sorry. I appreciate your effort, bro. I owe you one. I'm sorry. Again, thank you so... Thank you so much. You see, when Omar closed the door, Khaled was so shocked. He was so shocked to the point where he couldn't sleep that night. If you're asking why was Khaled so scared and traumatized at that moment, well, here is why. You see, when Omar tried to close the door, he didn't even touch it. Yes, he closed it from very far just by pulling his hand, thinking that Khaled was not watching, but he was. Another way to say it, Omar didn't close the door with his hands by pulling it like other people, like normal people. No, he just came close and controlled it. Back to Khaled, when he saw that, he reacted like, that's it, I swear to God, I'm telling this caller tomorrow. After closing the door and while going back to his bed, Omar was like, hey yo bro, you made me close the door, huh? You know, there's nothing to do about it, but don't worry, I got this. Good night, bro. Good night, good night. So, like I told you, Khaled didn't sleep the whole night because he was scared. He waited till the sunrise and then boom. Immediately went to the scholar. He was like, you will not believe what I just saw. The scholar said, okay, what's going on? Tell me. Yesterday, I was in the dorm with Omar and he closed the door without even touching it. I'm not even lying. Are you sure? I'm telling you, I promise you, I know what I saw. Okay, since he did that, Omar is a jinn. He's a what? Yes, you heard me well. Can you please call him and tell him to come alone? You can go. Okay, I will call him. You see, when Omar came, the scholar started the discussion by saying, promise me you will not lie. Swear to God you will not lie. Omar was like, yeah, I swear to God I'm not lying. What's going on? Okay, since you sworn, are you a human or a jinn? I'm asking you a question. Again, are you a human or a jinn? Respond. This is where Omar shocked everybody by saying that he was a jinn. Yes, he admitted that he was not human. He's taking the form of a human, but he's not one. When the scholar heard that, he said something to Omar. He said, wherever you do, stay in your human form. Do not reveal your real form here. He was so smart and quick by saying that because if a jinn reveals his real form, nobody will survive from their ugliness. After that, Omar will reveal that he was here for good intentions and he will never do such thing. He even explained to the scholar that he came here to learn about religion from him so he can guide his people back where he came from. So yeah, this time Omar was chill, okay? He was a jinn, but he didn't want to scare nobody. He didn't want to scare you, so you can sleep peacefully tonight. If you made it until here, then thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And in case you didn't know, I have a YouTube channel called Mr. Nice Curls. This is the one, not the first one that pops up. This is the one. As you can see, I have more stories there. And a quick message to whoever has this fake channel right here. Like, hey, I stole your videos. Are we deadass, bro? Like, seriously, delete that shit.
Back when I was around 10 years old, I was growing up in rural Scotland with my mom and my little sister, Amelia. There wasn't much to do out in the grasslands, so we'd chase each other around the house and come up with little games to play. But when Amelia turned about 7, she became a bit distant to me. Not like she hated me, but instead she was focused on something else. I approached her about it one day, and she explained that she has to play with her friend Tom too, or else he gets jealous. I assumed Tom was her imaginary friend. One day, I was reading in my room when my mom burst through the door, enraged. Elizabeth, did you eat all of my honey? Those jars are not cheap. I specifically told you it was for special occasions only. It wasn't me. I did, Mom, my sister said as she entered my room. I had to feed Tom, and he loves honey. Amelia, if you wanted some honey, you should have just asked, and I would have given you a little bit. There's no need to make up stories, okay? But Tom loves it. Look, I'll show you. My mom and I followed Amelia into her room. She pointed under her bed. "This is where Tom lives." My mom nervously crept down underneath the dark bed and looked around. There she found the empty jar of honey. My mom went back to full rage mode and grounded my little sister for making up stories. But I'm not lying, I swear. The next day, my mom stormed into my room again. "What is wrong with you? You're stealing my liquor now?" "I didn't take anything," I said defensively. "It was me again, Mom," Amelia chimed in from the doorway. My mom shot her one of the scariest glares I'd ever seen her make. "Let me guess. Tom drank it?" "Mm-hmm. You wouldn't let me give him the fancy honey anymore, so I had to give him something. Look." Again, we followed her to Tom's supposed hiding place. And sure enough, underneath Amelia's bed were the empty liquor bottles. My mom was furious. She thought my little sister had actually drank the booze herself. My mom grounded her for the remaining of the year, and my sister cried all night. She asked me if I believed her, and honestly, I wasn't sure. I mean, I knew she didn't drink the alcohol herself. If she had, she'd be dead. And I didn't think she was stupid enough to pour it all out in the name of her dumb game. But I told her I believed her. My sister and I went to the same school. During class the next day, I got called to the principal's office. Apparently, she had gotten in a fight during recess and ended up getting hurt pretty bad. Some so-called friends pushed her over onto a rock, and she had to be rushed to the hospital. They tried to reach my mom but couldn't get a hold of her, so they asked for me to go to the hospital with her. I immediately rushed over to make sure my sister was okay. She was pretty beaten up. It was really tough to see. "I'm so sorry, sis. It's not your fault. It's Tom's." She explained that since she couldn't give him treats anymore, he was making all her friends hate her. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She was seriously still talking about Tom. Once my mom got to the hospital, I walked back home to do homework. Now, I don't believe in spirits or anything like that, but I thought, what if Amelia was actually interacting with something neither me nor my mom could see? I decided to do a brief online search. I typed, "invisible friend who eats honey and liquor." I honestly didn't expect to find anything, but I came across a site that talked about something called a gruagach. They were invisible house spirits that were helpful as long as you gave them what they want, typically expensive items such as honey or liquor. I couldn't believe it. Maybe that's who Tom was. I continued reading. However, if you make them angry by not offering them gifts, they will cause major harm. Never name a gruagach, for they will become permanently attached to you. If you manage to attach one to yourself and then refuse to pamper it, it will wreak havoc on your life. Not only that, it will make up for the lost help by stealing the host away as a slave. Oh no. When my mom finally came home, I told her about everything I had read. I tried to tell her that if we pissed it off anymore, it might take Amelia away as a slave. But my mom wasn't having it. "I'm very tired and stressed. Please don't make things worse." A few days later, my sister was okay enough to come home from the hospital, but she had to stay in her room again until she was fully recovered. "I can't stay in here. Tom might take me away. I haven't fed him in over a week." But my mom ignored her complaining and locked her in her room for the rest of the day. Later that night, my mom went to check on Amelia. She wanted to apologize for being so cruel earlier. But when my mom opened the room, Amelia wasn't there. She checked the closet, underneath the bed. There was no sign of Amelia anywhere. Mom called the police and waited in the living room. "Mom, you don't think that maybe..." "Elizabeth, please. Not now." The police inspected our house and said they couldn't find any signs of anyone breaking in or running away. But they were going to continue looking for Amelia. My mom left the house shortly after that. She said she needed some fresh air. She told me to stay home until she got back. So I stayed in my room until night. When I was about ready to go to bed, I heard something coming from my sister's room. I opened the door and found my mom on the floor, in tears, surrounded by dozens of honey jars. She was calling underneath the bed. Please, I just want her back. Please just give her back.
My grandma met the devil, story time. So when grandma was in her late teens, she had a child out of wedlock and this man abandoned her. So at this point, her parents were pushing her to get married to someone new. That's how it was back then. She's sitting in the old Chevy with her friend at a burger place when this really tall, dark, very attractive man walks up behind the car, stops, turns around and comes back to her window and leans in. My grandma was very modest, but she openly admitted this was the most attractive man she had ever seen in her entire life. He didn't even look real. She didn't even think people could look this way because he was so perfect, so handsome. He was about 6'5", 6'6" tall. He had jet black hair, bright green eyes, big lips, and pretty white teeth. He was dressed in all black. Black coat, black shirt, black pants, and black shoes. So he leans down in the window and they start talking. He says his name is Sammy, he's new to town, and he's just trying to make some new friends. So my grandma and her friend, being the sweet, kind people they were, they invite him to come sit down and have a burger with them. He was very quiet and shy, but he only talked to her. He didn't say 2 words to her friend, so she thought maybe he liked her. And they'd ride off and ride around town all night, just talking and hanging out. Here's where it starts to get weird. Grandma said when she went to drop him off, she asked him, "Where do you stay?" He said, "Well, I don't have a home, I just came to town." She said, "Well, where do you want me to take you?" And he had her drop him off at the graveyard. He was like, "I don't know that I really want to go out there, because that's just a scary place, even in the daylight." He was like, "Well, just take me to the end of the road." So she drops him off at the big gate. Now, she did not tell this man where she lived, but the next day around 12 o'clock, he comes walking up the driveway, and her mom's sitting there on the porch, shelling butter beans, and she's like, "Hey, there's some tall guy walking up the driveway." Her mom's like, "Oh, that's Sammy, the man I met last night." So by now, her friend and her mother have both seen this man. He's real. But most importantly, he was dressed in all black. So Sammy walks up where Grandma, her mom, and the little toddler are sitting on the porch shelling butter beans, and Sammy asks Grandma out on a date. So my grandma looks over at her mom, and her mom's like, "Yeah, go ahead, I'll watch the baby." Remember, he came up walking, but now they're driving in her car. So he tells Grandma along the way that he's made a little picnic out in the graveyard. Grandma, being the kind of person that she was, didn't want to be disrespectful or ungrateful, so she agreed to go. They go out to the graveyard where she sees there is no picnic. He lied. There's no blanket, no food, no nothing. And now he's asking her all these personal questions, mainly about her faith and personal belief. He starts talking about religion. Do you go to church? What do you believe in? And then he starts debating with her a little bit about Christianity. Grandma always admitted she was never a perfect Christian. She sinned a lot. She made a lot of mistakes. But Grandma, being a faith warrior that she was, you could not dilute her faith. Like, she would fight you all day long about her God. She wouldn't push it on you, but if you debated her, she would defend it. Then Sammy asked Grandma, "Were you in love with the man you had that child by?" Grandma said, "Oh yeah, I thought we were going to get married. I fell head over heels for him." And Sammy said, "I know when you're lying." It really freaked her out, though, that he called her out on it like that. She could just see something in his eyes, like he knew she wasn't telling the truth, so she admitted, "No, I wasn't in love with him." The truth that everybody didn't know was Grandma and the baby daddy didn't even know each other. They had like a 1 or 2 night stand, got pregnant, and then because they didn't want to look bad, they told everybody they met, fell in love, were going to get married, and then the man abandoned her because he got cold feet. Sammy says, "But you weren't going to marry him either. He wasn't the only one with cold feet, was he?" Grandma was like, "Wait, we're the only 2 people who know what happened. How do you know that?" And Sammy loudly says, "I know everything." Then he tells her, "I want you to come be with me." He said, "You leave your child behind. It's just going to be you and me forever." And Grandma says, "Leave my child? I would never leave my child for anyone." And he says, "Yes, you would. You will for me." He said, "I know for a fact you would leave your child and your whole family to be with me." Grandma responds, "No, hell I wouldn't. I would never leave my child for anyone." But mentally, in her mind, she admits she would. Like, there's a weird little feeling in her mind that says she would leave her child because it feels like he's persuading her to think or feel that way. Trigger warning. Then he tells her he wants to know that she'll do anything for him, even if that means unaliving people, and he'll give her whatever her heart desires. And now she's terrified something was telling her, "You're dealing with something very serious here, like a serial killer, a demon, something's going on, and it's not good. You better get the fuck out of here." So she jumps up to leave, and then he pulls her back down and says, "You can't leave until we're finished. You have to say yes or no." He says, "I know you need a partner and a father for your child." She said, "You said if we were together, I'd be abandoning my child." He said, "Well, that would be a stipulation of the deal." She said, "It sounds like you're trying to trick me." He said, "Well, some people do call me a trickster." He said, "All you have to do is agree to be with me. Just say the word yes, say it." She said, "No, I'm not making a deal, no." And then she starts thinking about the story her great-grandmother used to tell her about the man in black. So the man in black story dates back as far as we can remember, all throughout the southern states. And it's a very attractive man who dresses in all black and targets female victims of all ages, asking them to do his bidding or trying to make a deal. They call him a trickster for a reason because his deals never end well, never, and people believe that he's actually trying to take souls. So she used to wear this pendant that her mom gave her. It wasn't a cross, it was something else. So she grabs it and starts mentally praying, please don't let nothing happen to me or my child, please protect us, because she's starting to freak out. She's scared. He backed up and said, you're never going to agree to it, are you? And she said, no, you should know that if you know everything. But he stands up, looks down at her, and she said his pupils got so big his eyes looked black, like they were almost solid black. He said, too bad we couldn't make a deal, but I will see you again in a few years. She said, no, you won't. He said, yes, I will. And then he disappeared as he walked behind the graves. She got so scared, her hands were shaking, her palms were sweating, almost about to throw up, so she got in the car and headed home. The whole way home, she kept thinking she was mentally breaking down, like, was he even real? Did this happen? And then when she gets home, her mom says, well, how did the date go with Sammy? And she's like, so he is real. You did see him. And her mom was like, yeah, where is he? What happened? And then she tells her mom, and her mom was like, holy shit. So her mom, being the religious fanatic that she was, takes grandma and the baby down to the river and has the preacher baptize them all over again because she thinks the devil's after them. Grandma said she don't know if he was a psycho, a serial killer, or a demon, but what she does know is he's real and he was there. And what's crazy, he was right. She saw him again 10 years later and he hadn't aged a bit. He came to her at her lowest point when her current husband was abusing her and her children. If you want to hear about that, I'll make a part 2.
Never thought I'd be scared of a knock-knock joke, that's for sure. But after listening to this story last night, I had to go to the restroom, and the whole time I'm in the restroom, I'm like, no one better knock on my door right now. No one better knock on my door. So the guy gets woken up by his girlfriend saying, knock, knock. He looks at the time and it is 3:27 in the morning, and he is so confused. So he's like, what are you doing? Why are you waking me up saying knock, knock? And her response to all of that is, knock, knock. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, we're asleep. Why are you waking me up trying to get me to play this little game with you by saying knock, knock? And his girlfriend's like, just answer me. And she goes, knock, knock. And he's like giving up. So he's like, fine, who's there? And she says, it's not me, don't open the door. Turns around and goes back to sleep, and he stays there like, what the fuck? So he ends up going to bed still, and the following morning he wanted to ask her why she did that, and it almost seemed like she was trying to ignore his question, but she ends up telling him, oh, it's just a little prank that I thought of, and like she leaves to work. Like she was trying everything to avoid the question for whatever reason. So they both go to work, they have dinner, and they go to bed, and again he gets woken up by her saying, knock, knock. He looks at the clock and it's 3:27 in the morning, and he looks at her and says, you already told me this was a prank. Why are you doing this again? Let's just go back to sleep. And the only thing she responds to him with is, knock, knock. So he's irritated and he's like, what is the point of this? What are you doing? Like, just tell me what's the end game. All she says is, just answer, knock, knock. And he's like, fine, who's there? And she goes, it's not me, don't open the door. She turns around and goes back to bed. So at this point, the boyfriend is angry because he's like, why is she waking us up over a stupid prank or joke or a game when we both have to work the next day? So that morning when they woke up to go to work, he was like, you need to tell me why you're doing this. And she wasn't going to leave the door like she did the first night, not really giving him a real answer. So he's like, you need to tell me why. What's the end game? What are you doing? However, she gives him the same answer. It's just a game. It's just a game. Like, and he's like, why? And she's like, it's a game. And she just like leaves the house. So as you can imagine, they come home, have dinner, go to sleep, and again she wakes him up at 3:27 in the morning, but this time he's not answering. He's like, why are you doing this? What is the end game? And she goes, just answer, knock, knock, just answer. And he's like, no. And she's like, answer, knock, knock, answer. And he's like, I'm not answering, why are you doing this? So he's like, you know you're causing a problem in our relationship. This isn't a joke anymore. You're waking me up in the middle of the night when we both have to go to work. So no, I don't want to play your game. Why are you doing this? You're like creating issues in our relationship. And she's still like, answer, please, answer, knock, knock. So he ends up saying, who the fuck is it? Like, who the fuck is at that door? And she goes, it's not me, don't open the door. She turns around and goes to sleep. So morning comes around and he wants to have a serious conversation with her. So he tells her, I don't know how or what kind of conversation I need to have with you to let you know that it's really messed up that you keep waking us up in the middle of the night and it's creating a big problem. And this time she was like apologetic. She's like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to do it. I just thought it was a game. He's angry with that answer because it makes no fucking sense where you keep doing this to him, you know what I mean? So he storms out. He goes to work, and all day she's sending him text messages like, I'm sorry, and she's calling him, he's not answering. He's ignoring everything. He mentions that the last text that she sends him is like, I'm so sorry, I know that sleep is important, I promise this is not gonna happen again, please forgive me. The boyfriend kind of starts feeling bad because they had never argued like this before, so for him to ignore her calls or texts made him feel a little bit guilty. So he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna forgive her and I'm gonna make her dinner because I don't want this to be like the end of us. So he goes home, he makes her dinner, they eat together, together and they go to bed. This time, he gets woken up again with a knock knock. He glances at the clock and it's 3:27 in the morning, and he says that he wants to get up and just scream at the top of his lungs, like he wants to grab everything in that room and just fucking break it apart. So he says that he turns to look at his girlfriend that's probably next to him, like say knock knock, but instead she's standing on the bed looking down at him with the craziest smile, saying knock knock. The way he describes this smile, I don't know if you guys ever seen that movie, oh my god, the movie Smile, okay, where it's like extended and it looks freaky. He's like, the smile was very off-putting. It was not like her normal smile. So as he's looking up at her with that weird fucking smile, he says, "What are you doing?" And in between that smiley face, she's telling him, knock knock. Oh my god, I got chills. At that moment, after she says knock knock again with her weird ass fucking smile, he says that her body started cracking and bending, and it was like a scene from a scary movie, and it scared him so much that he jumps out of bed and runs to the kitchen. But once he gets to the kitchen to catch a breath, he hears a knock at the front door. When he hears the knock, his first instinct is like, who is it? And it's his girlfriend's voice saying, "Love, please open the door. Whatever is in there is not me. Open the door, please. Whatever is in there is not me. Open the door, please. Please open the door. Don't listen to the person that's in there. Open the door." He has no idea what to do because he's like, who's the real one in the bedroom, outside the door? But in that moment, he had no time to do anything because whoever was in the bedroom, his girlfriend, comes out with that creepy smile, running full force towards him. But by the time she's about to get to him, he faints, passes out because of how scared he was. He says that he wakes up 2 hours later and his girlfriend is nowhere in that home. He says that he hasn't seen her since. He even made a police report or a missing person report because he has not heard of her. He has not seen her. Like, she's disappeared and has never returned. Honestly, that scares me more because what if one day she comes back with her creepy ass smile? Can you imagine? Knock knock. Oh, I just scared myself. Anyway, what do you guys think? Because first of all, the first knock knock, if my husband woke up and said knock knock and I'm like, who's there? It's not me, don't open the door. Divorced, bitch. What the fuck?
You know, if somebody asks me who are the people with the lowest IQ, my answer would be it's either between cave divers or urban explorers. And if you don't believe me, watch this video. It all started when a group of friends wanted to explore an abandoned railway tunnel. I mean, sure, when you see an abandoned tunnel like this, I mean, it sounds fun, okay? You want to explore it until you see something inside in the dark and it's not fun anymore. But you know, some people just don't think twice, like this group right here who decided to explore it. So they entered the tunnel and they decided to do a quick check with flashlights just to see if everything's okay. They were like, okay, yeah, we can go. This is where everybody started walking comfortably. You know, everything was okay at first. You know, they saw some graffitis here and there, some broken stuff, you know, stuff you would expect in an abandoned place. I'm telling you, they were laughing, joking, basically having fun until one of them got an idea. And the idea was to take a picture. So the one who wanted to take a picture was like, hey, yo, guys, please regroup together. I want to take a pic. So when everyone heard him, they were like, oh yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. They grouped together and they started posing. And these guys were posing, okay? They were hitting the hardest poses. They were like... See, everyone was silent to get that pic, but this is where things changes. Because meanwhile they were silent, looking for the best pose, they heard footsteps behind them. So when they heard those footsteps behind them, one of them was like, whoa, hold on. Cancel everything. We will take pics later. Did you guys hear that? So everybody said, yes, we're actually hearing some people behind us. So everyone turned to see who was there. You see, while holding their flashlights, everyone was focused and prepared in case someone shows up. They stayed like this for about a minute and no one showed up. Even the footstep sounds, they disappeared. This is where the group was like, okay, this is getting weird. Should we get the hell out? Yeah, probably. This thing was getting scary, so the whole group decided to go back, and on their way back, they heard those footsteps again. When they heard those footsteps again, one of them decided to speak, and he was like, hey, yo, who the hell was that? You see, the moment he finished saying that, the footsteps started getting louder and louder, and they started surrounding them. No, instead of hearing them in one direction, they started hearing them all around the tunnel. At one point, some of them even heard the screaming that sounded like a whistle. You know, there was definitely screaming, but sounded like... When they heard that whistle, everyone decided to get the hell out of this tunnel, but one of them stayed. If you're asking why one of them stayed, well, let me tell you that he got so scared that he couldn't move. Frozen in his place, he started shaking and his legs couldn't function anymore. Luckily, one of his friends who was already running for his life turned back, noticed him, and decided to help him. So when everybody got out, they were like, is everybody okay? So everybody responded, yeah, we're okay, but one of them didn't respond, and it was the guy who couldn't move. Oh, everybody started tapping his shoulder like, but he just couldn't speak. This is where everyone else in the group were like, oh my god, bro, don't tell me we messed up. We done traumatized the boy, he can't speak anymore. They were really trying to get him speak, but he was not responding to a single thing until he said something by himself. You see, out of nowhere, he said something like, why did you guys enjoy that singing so much? Oh, everyone else were like, oh, thank God, you can talk. Okay, we didn't mess up, guys, but hey, what the hell are you talking about? I saw every single one of you dance in front of me to that voice who was singing. Bro, what the hell are you talking about? No. He didn't understand this yet. When everybody was hearing that whistle inside the tunnel, he was hearing a beautiful voice. Meanwhile, everybody was running behind him. He was imagining them in front of him dancing. Yes, whoever or whatever was inside the tunnel was targeting him, the guy who couldn't move. And the thing inside the tunnel made that by making the guy who couldn't move hear and imagine things that didn't exist. After all, that's how you trick somebody and get him to go even deeper in that tunnel.
He thought he had a black head on his nose. But what they found was so terrifying that even the most experienced doctor was left in shock. For years, Jonathan lived with a blackhead so large in the middle of his nose that it looked like an anomaly, something he thought would be easy to remove. What he didn't know was that inside that supposed blackhead lay something no one could have imagined. It was so big that when Jonathan tried to sleep, it would stick to his pillow, bothering him even during rest and making simple daily tasks difficult. The bizarre lump caused him a lot of pain and made him extremely irritated. Jonathan had reached his limit. Desperate, he decided it was time to deal with the problem once and for all. He went to the hospital, determined to have it surgically removed. But when the doctors examined the blackhead up close, they were completely horrified. They scheduled the surgery immediately. However, the operation didn't go as expected, and the doctors discovered something so frightening that even the most experienced among them were left speechless. What was inside that supposed blackhead was terrifying. To find out what was inside, click the plus sign and comment to see the continuation of this story.
Thinking about sleeping though,
Yeah.
Did you ever like wake up in the middle of the night but feel like not tired, feel like awake?
Feel like not tired?
Like you ever wake up like randomly in the night, middle of the night,
Yeah.
and then you're just straight awake. Like you don't feel groggy and shit. You don't feel tired at all.
I don't know. I don't think that's happened to me before.
Have you ever woke up at 3:15 a.m.?
That's specific, but
That's
yeah,
specific.
probably.
That's specific.
Probably around like that time.
You might be cursed.
No, man. No, we can't start it off like that.
No. If you ever woke up
Yeah.
at 3:15 a.m.,
Okay.
you might be cursed. Like,
Why, though?
Legit. So, I don't know if you ever heard about the Amity House.
No.
So there's this is a real haunted house, I believe in the States somewhere. And you know Ed and Lorraine Warren, the Conjuring investigators?
Oh yeah.
The real life like demonologists, right?
Yeah. You said that.
So they claim this house to be one of those houses that is truly attached to demons. Now, the story goes that there was this man, and for some reason, still to this day, they said a voice came to his head and told him to murder his 3 family members, his 2 daughters and his wife. Now, what's weird, and still to this day, they have no evidence and no like reasoning why the family members didn't wake up and didn't fight back. So what happened was each of the family members, they were lying down straight on their face like this, flat. And each one didn't move while he went ahead and killed every single one of them with a gun.
What the
Now,
fuck?
what happened was obviously he went to jail and he did the questioning and shit.
Yeah.
But that house ended up going back on sale.
Okay. Oh
And
no.
some family ended up moving in there. Now this family, they were haunted for years.
Yeah,
fam.
probably, fam.
Not years, but like however long they
Yeah,
stayed.
it has to. Yeah.
It's fuck. Now, one of the things that freaked me out when I heard the story,
Yeah.
they would always get a haunting at what time?
3:15.
3:15 a.m. And story goes that they would realize later that 3:15 a.m. was the time the family was murdered.
I've been advised not to tell this story by practically everyone in my life. I've been specifically warned by my management that this could lead to a defamation case. As somebody who promised you to always be upfront, I'm going to tell you anyway. And it's not going to make sense until the end. And I will try my best to put it into one video. Growing up, I had one best friend. We were obsessed with each other. So when I moved to school, we were very devastated that we weren't going to see each other every single day. And we would speak to each other every night for so long that eventually our mums used each other's numbers as like the free numbers that you used to get. You know, like back in the 90s, you had like that one number you could do free calls. Normally this number would be reserved for like your nan or like your mum's best mate. We were so close that we even manipulated a plan so that I would move close to her. We spent all summer circling houses for sale in the newspaper, and we kept putting them in front of our mums and dads until eventually my mum and dad actually bought one of the houses that we had circled, which meant we were on the same road. And as soon as we were old enough and the opportunity arose, we moved in together. By this point, we're basically adults. We have our own groups of friends. And one friend that she had, I never particularly liked. There was something about her, I couldn't put my finger on it, but I didn't trust her. But you've met Helen already now, so you know that my mum raised me to be kind. So I took this friend in as my friend. So my best friend, we'll call her Lissa, is one of those girls that if you're ever in trouble, she's going to be there for you. And her friend, the one that I don't trust, we'll call her Karen, is that friend that always has the drama. She always needs rescuing. Wherever she goes, drama follows her, chases her, like a bounty hunter. It's like no matter what she does, she just can't catch a break. But throughout our year living together, this girl turns up on our doorstep crying almost at least once a month. Karen's mum and dad have a lot of money, whereas mine and Lissa's are just normal people. Karen has a good job in her family business, so it doesn't go unnoticed by me when she would turn up at our house empty-handed, eat our food, watch our TV, drink our drinks, make a mess, and then just leave. And I'm not trying to be an ungracious host, but this girl was take in every sense of the word. She was like an emotional vampire to my friend. And it got to the point that when she would come round, I would make an excuse and leave. It's a dark night. We're not expecting anybody. There's a knock at the door. It's Karen. She's in floods of tears. She's done something very stupid. And you know what? Despite everything that this girl has done to me, I'm never going to say exactly what she did. But I will say, never in a million years would I do that. I would never do what she had done, and I especially would not go running to my friend for sympathy or help or shelter, because she didn't deserve it. But my friend invited her in, gave her a place to stay, and made her dinner. Off I went to work, and at the time I was working at a nightclub. I was a door girl. It was freezing. But I didn't care, because I'd rather be standing in the freezing cold on the door than listening to that shit. And my night would go from bad to worse. It was actually a night I'll never forget, because the club that I worked at would actually have a serious incident that night. Someone would get bottled so close to me that I would end up with blood on my clothes, and I'd have to write a police statement. And all I wanted to do when I got home was have a shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. Do you think I could do that? No, I couldn't do that because Karen had eaten my dinner. That bitch had eaten my dinner. I had £20 to my name. Boyfriend had ordered me a Domino's and she had eaten it. She didn't even leave the crusts. So in the morning when my boyfriend texted me and asked if I got the Domino's that he'd left me and he had paid for, because God knows Domino's is very expensive and I wouldn't have been able to afford it myself, it was a special treat, and I told him no and explained why, he was furious. Absolutely furious. And I should have heeded his warning. She's got no manners. She's not been raised properly. You need to watch her. And he was bang on the money. Fast forward to when I was opening up my own makeup business. I get a text message from this girl. She was thinking of doing makeup herself and she wanted some tips. I gave them. I didn't listen to my boyfriend's advice and I gave them to her. I even said she could come and shadow me if she wanted. I would accidentally fall pregnant. Best accident that ever happened. But not everything in my pregnancy went to plan. I would actually have something called HG, extreme sickness in pregnancy. And it would actually mean that I would end up in hospital a lot of my pregnancy, which being self-employed isn't the best thing. I didn't have sick pay. I didn't have insurance. I didn't have statutory. I had nothing apart from a loyal client base. And if it wasn't for these clients, I would probably never know about what this girl did to me. Because while I was here, strapped up to all different types of stuff, she was busy messaging my clients, offering them 20% off. Yeah, 20% off if I cancelled on them. She was profiting off of my misfortune behind my back. Whilst I was laying in a hospital bed with a face full of broken blood vessels, because by the way that happens, when you throw up for 12 hours straight every day, you walk around with broken blood vessels. This is how that looks. All over your face. The problem that I have with this is that there are only a few people in the world that knew that I was in hospital. And there were only a few people in the world that knew why I was in hospital and that it would be an ongoing thing. You guessed it. It was my best friend. And her best friend. She carried on. She took every last gig I had whilst I laid in a hospital bed. And I had no fight left in me. So all I wanted was a healthy baby. And I didn't really give a shit if I had to have a buggy from a charity shop. And I didn't really give a shit if I had to live in my mum's garage forever. But she did make it hard for me. Now, luckily for her, I'm a positive person. And instead of getting mad and playing messy, I started doing different things, like lashes, which meant we were no longer in competition. I pretty much stepped back, just for an easy life, and let her shine. This girl would go on to do very well. Very, very well. And she actually went on to become one of the biggest makeup artists in the UK, Instagram-wise. But the problem is, when you do business like that, you piss off a lot of people along the way, and some of them aren't quite as gracious as I was, or as scared. I was scared, but I'm not anymore. Who would have known that I would now have this platform? And who would have known that someone you pissed off along the way, who has millions of followers, would want to do business with me? Couldn't make it up, could you? Anyway, I've got to go now because I'm waiting for a call from LA.
Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, you?
I'm doing all right.
In Haiti, when it hits a certain time, you cannot be outside. Scary story time. So I just woke up from a nap, so don't mind the whole flushed look. And y'all know I love doing these stories while unboxing something, and this is a wig from Amazon. Anyways, this story is actually my dad's story. He told me this story last night, y'all. When I tell y'all I've been fishing for stories for y'all. Anyways, so in Haiti, you know at a certain time, like 8 o'clock, you ain't supposed to be outside. Past 8 o'clock, when it's dark, that's luau time. You know to be home. Because the luaus are outside waiting for somebody to be caught lacking. Anyways, he was really young at the time, right? And his aunt had just got this brand new TV. And mind you, this is like back in the day. So TVs were kind of like fairly a new thing. So him and my uncle begged my grandma to let them go to my aunt's house. Well, their aunt's house, my aunt's house, to watch some TV. So my grandma said, fine, you guys can go, but make sure you guys come back on time. Like, don't... So, full disclaimer for the future stories that I'm going to tell you. My dad, I don't want to say he was the bad child, but my uncle was the good child that followed by all the rules. My dad also was a good child, but he was more of like a adventurous person. For example, when my uncle would probably walk away from a fight, my dad wouldn't. You get the gist. So anyways, they go to my uncle's house. They go at 5 o'clock, and my grandma told them to come back in an hour. They go, they're watching TV. At this time, it's about like 6:30, almost 7. So my uncle realizes the time. Of course, he's the responsible one. He's like, let's go home. It's getting late. It's about to be dark outside, so let's go home. My dad's like, yeah, 5 more minutes. Give me 5 more minutes. Let me finish watching this. 5 more minutes. So my uncle's like, all right, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes pass. And my uncle's like, it's been 5 more minutes. We have to go. We're going to get in trouble. Also, full disclaimer, my grandma did not play with these boys, okay? She was a single parent raising 2 boys by herself. She did not play. Anyway, so my uncle's like, it's time to go. Like, let's go. And my dad is like, yeah, but this isn't finished. You go. I'm right behind you. I promise you, I'm right behind you. You go. Go ahead, go. And my uncle's like, no, I'm not leaving you. Like, no, let's go. And my dad is like, no, brother, just give me like, I got you. I promise you, I got you. I'm right behind you. Just go. I'm coming. Mind you, it's already late enough that my uncle don't even want to be walking the streets by himself. So he's like, all right, whatever. So he goes. And he like books it. He's running the whole way home because it's already dark. Like, it just got dark. It's already dark and he's already scared. He don't want to get caught by nothing. You get it. If you get it, you get it. So he books it home. He makes it home. And my dad is still watching TV. And at this point, 2 hours pass. Now, this is definitely Lugao time. And then some more time passes. And then my dad just happens to take his eye off the TV. This is nice. It's a bob wig. He happens to take his eyes off the TV just to look around, and everybody else, his cousins, are sleeping. And then he looks up at the clock. It is 10 p.m., y'all. And if you know in Haiti, 10 p.m. for you to be walking the streets is insane. So the realization starts to hit him. And at this point, he was more scared of the ass whooping he was going to get more than the fact that he has to walk through the streets at night with all these lugaos walking around. So he books it. He's running home. And he told me at this point, in my mind, I don't care about nothing that's going on in the street. I'm scared about this ass whooping. And if anything happens to come my way, I swear it won't stop me from getting home. He's booking it home. And as he's like literally close, like around the corner from the house, he sees this chicken with all her chicks walking. Mind you, he's a little boy. He don't really he knows weird stuff be happening, but he doesn't really know exactly what to expect. He sees these chicken, so he's like, okay, chicken, I'm home. My house is right there. I don't really care about that right now. So as he's trying to go to his house, the chicken gets in front of him to block him. So he's like, okay, so he tries to go around and they get in front of him again to block him. And then he tries to go another way, like around them again, and they get in front of him again to block him. Now, remember how I told y'all, my father, he had a little bit of a temper, and he already imagines this ass whooping he's about to get, so he don't care about no chickens right now. So he kicks all the chickens, he kicks all of the chicks out of his way and ran into the house. And my uncle, being the good wingman that he was, he left the door open for my dad because, he was supposed to be right behind him. Now, to my dad's luck, he gets home and my uncle's sleeping, and so is my grandma. So he's off the hook. He was telling me the story. He's like, I'm so happy because I'm off the hook. But little did I know, my problems had just started.
I was 9 years old when this happened. For whatever reason, I was home alone one night. So I was playing video games upstairs in my room. I wasn't allowed to answer the door to anyone when I was home alone. Whenever I was left alone, it wasn't for long. My mom would just be out grocery shopping or something like that. I was playing Metroid Prime on my GameCube. I used to be obsessed with that game. I heard the house phone downstairs start to ring. My mom always told me to pick up the phone if it rang, in case it was her calling. So I hurried downstairs, and by maybe the fourth ring, I picked up. The caller ID was from my mom's cell phone. She said, "Sweetie, can you come outside and help with the groceries?" I replied, "Mom?" She said back, "Yes." I felt like something sounded off with her voice. You obviously know your own mom's voice, and so even at such a young age, when I was questioning why it didn't sound like her, I said, "Why do you sound like that?" She replied, "Like what, sweetie?" And I hung up. My mom would never use the word sweetie like that, especially twice in a matter of seconds. The phone rang again, and my mom's number came up on the caller ID again. I ignored it. For some reason, my heart was racing. I was nervous. I sat in the kitchen, waiting to see if the phone would ring a third time, and it did. It took a couple minutes before the third ringing, but when I checked the caller ID, this time it was a different number. I picked up, and a man's voice on the other end said, "Hey James, I know this is gonna sound weird, but it's your dad. I'm outside." All I could mutter out was a weak, "What?" The man said, "I'm outside. I have a lot to explain." I hung up right then and there. My dad died when I was 3. I have no memories of him. My suspicion was in fact true, that the first voice I heard was not my mom's. The phone rang again, and then again after that. I ignored it each time. I couldn't even call my mom because someone clearly had her phone. Then things took a turn for the worse when there were knocks at the front door. This went from a "someone has my mom's phone" situation to a "someone is outside the house" situation. My mom would not be knocking on the door. She'd have a key, obviously. I peered around the wall of the kitchen to look at the front door. I heard a man's muffled voice on the other side saying my name. He was saying, "It's your dad." He rang the doorbell, and then I heard him start attempting to open the door. I did something that no 9-year-old should ever have to do, and that was grabbing the phone and calling 911. The 911 operator asked me what I imagine to be some pretty standard questions, most importantly telling me to wait in a bathroom or other room with a lockable door until the police get there. The bathroom is on the first floor of the house. I hid in there with the lights off. Whoever was outside came to the window and tried pulling it open. I heard their entire struggle. Then they must have moved to the next window. I think they tried every window and door in the house. If anything were to have been unlocked, this story would have had a very different outcome. They must have given up at some point before the police arrived. And I say they because clearly there were two people involved in this, a man and a woman. They both could have been out there for all I know. The operator told me that the police are at the front door now and it's safe to go meet them there. Only when I opened the door to the police was when I hung up the phone. They did a quick investigation inside and outside of the house and asked me where my mom was supposed to be and if my mom knew anyone who might want to hurt us. I'm sure I said I thought she was grocery shopping or something, and not that I know of. My mom returned home with my little sister in a panic when she saw the police cars out front. My mom's phone was stolen, which was already clear. I'm sure that our address, home phone number, and other personal information was stored somewhere on the phone, easily accessible, though how they knew my name, I'm not exactly sure. Something on my mom's phone must have given it away. It was an old Nokia flip phone. Who stole it was a mystery. But my mom's phone background was a picture of her with my little sister and I. This could have been an indication to some disgusting, creepy couple out there that the owner of this phone was a single mom with 2 young kids, and they tried to use that as a way of tricking me into leaving the house, which is absolutely disgusting and horrific.
This is one of the most terrifying horror stories I have ever told on this app. Not only does it involve black magic, sihr, and of course jinns, but alongside all of that is the fact that this story is ongoing, and not only that, the story in of itself, it involves so many deaths that this story is something that cannot be joked about. Save this video if you have the guts to watch this at night. Now this story, it actually starts off in the UK, and it starts with one of my closest friends and his family who decide one day that they're gonna go to Pakistan to attend a wedding. Now in the family there is my boy and his 2 sisters and of course their parents. So what happens is in the summer holidays they actually book a flight and they do end up going to Pakistan to attend this wedding. Now while they're actually in the wedding, for those of you who don't know how a Pakistani wedding actually goes, it's one of the most live events that you'll ever see in your life. It's very packed and there are a lot of people. So essentially what ends up happening is my friend's sisters, the older one, essentially what happens is she goes to the side and she goes to just chill out, to be honest. So now she's standing a little bit back from where all the action, of course, where everyone's enjoying themselves essentially. And what ends up happening is one of their cousins, one of their older cousins, actually comes over and starts talking to her. Now to anyone who is unaware, that would seem normal. But unfortunately this cousin was not a normal cousin. It turns out that this guy was very, very odd, to say the least. What actually ends up happening is this guy ends up asking her for marriage. Bear in mind this man is over 20 years old. The girl is literally only in year 9. Now this sister clearly clocks that something is wrong, and so the moment that this odd guy asks her straight up, will you get married to me, she licks him across the face. Startled, the cousin actually ends up walking away in shame. And now I could just say the story ended there, but it didn't. Now it actually turns out that my friend's family was staying away from this cousin's family from before, and that's because amongst the family there were actually rumors that this cousin's family, his mum and his sister and him, were actually involved in a lot of black magic. Not only were they actually dabbling in the arts, they were actually quite experienced in it. And so you can kind of see where this story is going already. A girl has publicly humiliated a man whose family has a history with black magic by slapping him across the face. So essentially what ends up happening is my friend's family actually end up coming back to the UK. And what happens is they decide to move into a new house, basically when they got back. Now of course when the family get back they actually have to move into this new house. For the first week of them moving into this house, everything seems normal, there's no issues. But once this 1 week mark stops, what ends up happening is a series of unfortunate events. One night my friend is on call with all of us. When I say all of us, I mean the rest of the man. All of us on call. Essentially what ends up happening is while he's on call, he starts hearing footsteps in the attic. Bear in mind it is the dead of night. Not a single person is awake and no one has been making sound beforehand. Now you could say that it was just a squirrel, except that the footsteps were not squirrel-like at all. They were quite clearly of either a human or something very close to a human. Something mimicking a human almost. Alongside that, what ends up happening is my boy actually sees shadows in his room. In fact, he actually also sees his doors opening and closing. But what's crazy is that's not even near the worst part of this entire thing. One night me and my boy are on VC and randomly he leaves the call out of nowhere. I don't know what's happened, I just assume he's gone to sleep. What ends up happening however is when he comes back, he doesn't say a single word. He just sits there in cool. Now I'm very confused and start questioning him, like, where did you go? And he still doesn't say anything. But what he does do is he messages in the GC. Now I see this and I'm very confused, but I open his message in the GC regardless. What he says is shocking. He says that not only is he unable to speak, but he's unable to get up. And I asked him why. His reasoning was that he felt like something was grabbing his neck, something was physically stopping him from being able to breathe and speak. I ask him why he can't get up and, try to tell someone. He tells me dead straight, it feels like something is sitting on me. It feels like there's someone or something on my knees, in the sense I cannot get up physically because this thing is blocking me. Now to me, this is all very concerning, don't get it twisted. But there's one other thing that I'm very curious to find out. And that is why my boy originally left the VC in the first place. Why he actually left Cool. And so I asked him, I said, why did you leave Cool though? When I tell you what he said to me is haunting, I'm being dead serious. This man tells me straight up that his sister has messaged him something. I say, what, was it something important? And he shows me 2 screenshots. In these screenshots, his sister is telling him straight up 3 things. The first, I want to kill you. The second is I want to kill family. And the third is that she wants to kill herself. Instantaneously, I clock whoever is messaging my boy is not his sister. In these scenarios, the best thing that you can do is recite Ayatul Kursi. The millisecond I'm about to start reciting, there's a crash at the door. And in the doorframe is a figure. The figure of a girl. And in her hand, she's holding something. Now, I will be telling more of this story because there is a lot more, but it would get way too long, so I'm going to put it into multiple parts. Regardless though, make sure you follow this account if you want to see more videos like this in your feed.
My grandma always used to tell me that nothing good happens between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m. She would say, those are the devil hours. Do not go out during that time. And, I always tell people, if you don't believe any of this stuff, right, go out after midnight into the woods alone and then tell me what you think. Now, many years ago when I was younger, I had just gotten out of the military and I was kind of adjusting to this regular civilian life. Now, one of the things that helped me is I got into doing outdoor survival. Now, I used to do these 4 to 5 mile backpacking hikes where I would go out sometimes 12:30, 1 o'clock at night and hike in the woods. This particular area that I would hike was along the river. It was like this hill and it was just this heavily wooded area. Now, at the time, right, this area was known to be home to the Peoria Indians. And this is where they hunted. This is where they lived. There's even believed to be this huge burial ground on this area that was never found. So this particular night, I decided to hike this trail called the Pimatui. Now the Pimatui was an old Native American trail they used to use to get down this hill to the river. So what I would do is I would hike this trail and I would get to this specific spot where there was a stream that cut through the trail. I would then turn right and I would follow this stream through a ravine down to the river. So as I'm hiking the Pimatui Trail, I come to the stream, I turn right, and I start following along down this ravine. I start hearing like music, and it sounded like someone was singing, but it wasn't like a person. It was like one of those old music boxes. And as I kept on walking further and further, like it got a little louder and then a little louder. And that's when I get to the specific spot of this stream where it kind of makes a curve and there's this sharp ravine with 2 steep sides on both sides. And I remember hearing this music like coming from the side of this cliff. And I'm like, what is making that music? Like, where is that coming from? And that's when I see like this opening on the side of the ravine. And, it was probably about this wide. You could, barely crawl through it. And it was some kind of cave or something. So I hiked up to the top of this hill and I started shining my light into this cave. As I look in there, I see the movement of something very large. And I don't exactly know what it was. I can't explain to you what it looked like, but it caused me to like jump back. And at the time I'm thinking, okay, if this is some kind of wild animal, I'm blocking its only exit. So I started making my way back up the ravine and heading away from there. And as I'm walking, I notice like all this movement up ahead in the woods. And I see several deer just booking it through the woods like something had just scared it. And I could hear from behind me some movement coming up through the woods. And there were like branches breaking, and you know, you could hear the crunch of something hitting the leaves. I go a little faster now because I'm kind of nervous. I'm like, what is following me? As I'm, you know, continuing up the ravine, it starts getting closer and closer. And it got to the point where I knew that it was very, very close. So I pull my camera out and I take a picture with the flash on. And when that flash hit, I could see two glowing eyes staring at me. So I threw my bag down and I just take off running as fast as I can. I get to the trail, I get out of there. And whatever this was, you know, it broke off and didn't follow me. Later that night, you know, I'm looking at this picture and you could clearly see the two eyes. And I'm like, whoa, something was following me, whatever was in that cave. The next day, I hiked back out to this area because I wanted to find this cave again. Except I could not find it anywhere. And I went all the way along that ravine down to the river. There was no cave. And I still to this day have no idea what happened that night or what was following me.
This is your sign to always say yes when your family asks you to go out with them. Because if you said no and you decided to stay home alone, this right here will come to say hi. The story happened in a country with a really bad electricity, okay? And what I mean by really bad electricity is that you're just chilling, okay? And then boom, no electricity. And this happened 4 to 5 times a day. 4 to 5 times a day is insane, okay? I don't think you realize how much it is. But you know what? It was really common in the country. Obviously, the people that live in this country are used to it, okay? Especially during daytime. You don't really need light. But that's a different story when it's nighttime, and that's why I need you to save the video and come back to it at night so it's more enjoyable like that. You see, it all started when a little boy was watching TV, okay? So he was basically chilling, watching TV, probably watching me. Nah, but anyways, he was watching TV, and then his family came. His family came to him because they wanted him to go outside with them. They were like, hey yo, we're going outside, do you want to join us? The little boy basically responded, no, I don't want to go outside, I'm actually watching TV. Oh, okay, but you know, everybody in the family is going outside because the moon is really beautiful tonight and you gotta appreciate nature. Are you sure you're not coming? Nah, I can't this time, I'm sorry, I'm really tired, I'm watching TV. You can go without me, have fun. Appreciate nature, they said. Oh, okay then, have it your way. We're leaving. So yes, basically everyone in the family went outside and they left the little boy alone. But you see, he was okay with that because he was watching TV. So he was basically like, okay. What the hell? Exactly. While he was watching TV, the light decided that it's time to go. Now, he's alone and he's not able to see since it's nighttime. But like I told you, people there are used to it, okay? So he was basically waiting for it to come back. He's basically like, okay. Okay. What the hell? See, while he was in the dark, he basically saw a tall lady with a long black hair, white dress appearing and disappearing. And when he saw her, he basically told himself, okay, there is no way I'm seeing this right now. I gotta be imagining this. Hold on. Oh damn, she's still here. Oh yes, the little boy is definitely not imagining this, because now he's home alone in the dark and there is this woman right here in front of him walking. Well, not walking, he said floating because she didn't have feet. That's exactly how he described her. He said that the way she was moving, she was not walking, she was more like floating or like somebody taking big steps. Now, the little boy was panicking, okay? He's literally stressing. And this is the moment where he thought that, okay, maybe this is a prank. He thought that this right here was either his sister or his mom. While staring at this thing, he was basically like, hey yo, hey sister, I know that's you. Stop playing around. It's not funny. Oh, when this woman right here heard him, she was basically like, yo, I know it's you. You gotta stop the cap. Like, your thing is not even realistic for real. I mean, damn. This woman literally didn't care about him, okay? It's like he wasn't even talking to her. He wasn't even there. So when the little boy saw that she low-key don't care, okay? She's just minding her business. He was like, okay, you know what? I'm just wait for her to disappear, and then I'm gonna go down, leave the house, and tell my whole family about what happened. And yep, just like that, when she disappeared and he couldn't see her, he left the house, joined his family outside, and literally told him what happened. Obviously, his family didn't believe him. I mean, they never do. And the little boy we're talking about in this story actually grew up, and he told me this story, and the picture you're seeing right now is where all of this happened. That's scary.
Here is a horror story that happened to me and my best friend. If you don't believe in paranormal activity, just scroll because I'm not going to argue with you guys in the comments. So basically, for a little bit of background information, every single time my best friend comes over, no matter the weather or anything, we usually watch a scary movie and then go for a walk. Don't ask why, that's just what we like to do, and usually there's like Taco Bell or some food in there too, but that's just what we do. We were like, let's go for a walk. Now, where we chose to go for a walk might have been where the part where we messed up, but we always go back here. Like, I go back here with my other friends. Like, usually it's fine. I've had 1 or 2 experiences back there, but that's for another time. Basically, it's like houses lined up, and behind their house and behind their backyard is like a small pathway where you can walk. And the pathway leads to train tracks and like a park. It's not even like a park. It just has swings and this huge slide. That's it. So I think it's like dead summer, and we immediately walk outside and a huge cold breeze just smacks me in the face. And I specifically remember that because right after that, I just got this bad like tension in my body that I didn't like at all. And I kind of like brushed it off just because I wanted to go for a walk. Like, I was bored. So like I didn't say anything, but she was feeling the same exact thing. And I figured that out after this happened. So maybe we both should have just spoke up, but whatever. Since we were both feeling a little like scared and, you know, tensed up, Aubrey started telling me a story, and I don't know what it was about. I think it was like this girl stealing someone's boyfriend. I don't know, it doesn't really matter, but the most important part is when she was telling the story, she specifically said they were saying this girl had a weird face. And I don't know if this was actually what happened, but in my head, she kept repeating it. She kept saying, this girl had a really weird face. Again, I don't know if she was actually repeating that or if that's just the thing that stuck out to me. But in my head, she said that 10 times. She was just like, she had such a weird looking face. Like, Megan, it looks so weird. It's like, I don't know. That's just like the only thing I remember her saying. And then she said something about like it looking like disformed, and I was like, all right, okay, let's stop. I was like, all right, let's stop, because I got this god awful looking scary girl in my head and I could not get it out. Specifically remember a huge ass cold breeze smacking my face again, and that's when I was like, oh my fucking god, my body like tensed up. I got like the chills, and I wanted to say, Aubrey, we need to turn back, we need to go back. Like, something in my head was saying, go back, go back, go back, go back. And we kept walking. Just because sometimes I don't know if it's just because I'm being a pussy or if it's my body actually telling me go the fuck back. So I was like, okay, maybe you're just scared, keep walking. So we kept walking. Okay, I'm getting kind of scared because my room's in the basement and like the door's right there. I don't like, it's like too quiet right now. It's okay. We're walking and we hear 2 branches crack behind us, and I'm like, I shoot my head back and I'm like, did you hear that? And she's like, yeah. I was like, it's fine, Aubrey, just keep walking. So we keep walking and we hear more movement behind us, not trees like or branches cracking, like more like just like movement, like kind of like bushes moving. And I was like, bro, do you hear that or am I tripping? And she's like, no, I hear it, Megan. So I'm like, okay, whatever, just stay calm. And then it happened the 3rd time and we bolted. Like, we didn't even see anything at this time, we just ran, right? Aubrey was a little ahead of me because the thing is like anytime anything like this happens, I like when everyone's in front of me just so I can like make sure everyone's there. And right behind Aubrey, and you guys saying this, I know you guys are not going to believe me, but you please believe me because I'm not lying. Like, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, not lying. And I was almost throwing up and crying after this, like genuinely. So standing behind Aubrey, well, chasing Aubrey actually, is this tall black man with a long stretched out face. He didn't really have a face. He just had like a long mouth and like long eyes, kind of like that, all black body. And he was like hovering over Aubrey because it's like he was right there. He could have like got Aubrey if he wanted to, but he was just like kind of pacing, like this was Aubrey and this was him, and he was just like kind of pacing with her, if that makes sense. And I'm just like running, like I'm running basically next to it, and I'm just like looking up at it. Like I didn't say anything, like I didn't. So we get to one of like the houses, because like I said, we're a pathway behind houses. So we come out where we can like kind of run out in one of their front yards, if that makes sense. So we get there, and I like put my hands on my knees like this, and I'm breathing heavy, and I'm crying, and Aubrey's like, Megan, what was that? What the fuck was that? And I'm like I can't breathe, because I don't think she saw it. If I'm wrong, Aubrey, correct me in the comments. I don't think she saw it, but I'm out of breath, like crying, and I'm like, Aubrey, I'm gonna throw up. I can't catch my breath. And she's like trying to hold me and like walk me down the court, because basically I live on courts, and so we were trying to get to the end to get like to the main thing, if that makes sense. If you guys want me to, I can like always pull up a map and explain it, but that's like, I don't know. And so we're walking, and I'm not even joking. You can tell. I'm just looking back every single second. I'm like, I'm not joking. I tell Aubrey, you look forward, I'll look back, because we need to make sure like that wasn't someone real. Even though deep down, I knew it wasn't, because he was right there. He was literally right there. I just heard something on my door. No one better try to scare me right now, because I will actually fucking kill someone. I'm actually scared. And thinking back to this, oh my god, now I'm hearing shit. We got back, and I'm like crying, and I don't even know what we do. Oh yeah, we come in my room, we sit down still out of breath, and then that's when we kind of like calm down a little, because you know, we're in my room, we're safe, but we're still like looking around my room, like we don't want to leave my room. Like it was just so bad. I don't know, but whatever it is, we haven't gone back since. So yeah. But thanks for watching my story time, guys. If you guys want more, comment, because I have so many more, because stuff has happened in my house, at other people's houses, around my house, and yeah. So love you guys. Bye.